Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and we'll go to the first item on that is the proposed reopening of the clubhouse and amenities. Mr. Ziegler, you want to take it away?
Certainly. So we met this morning with the staff. We had about an hour and a half meeting, just talking about reopening, the importance of when we do lots of signage, denoting occupancy levels in rooms, clearly denoted on the walls, whatever the occupancy is now at 50%. Distancing, where to stand, where not to stand, that kind of thing. Brianna and Josh are working on those to get those put up throughout the building. Nothing on the tables when people come in. Although there will, except for one thing, signs on the table saying "Do not move the tables or chairs." That's it. We had mentioned that, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but I think we did. Paper menus. We won't put salt and peppers out. It's all per request. So the little paper salt and peppers, when those are requested, would bring those out because they're single use. And you don't have to worry about washing salt and pepper containers after every somebody sits and eats and then they leave. I want to mention again a concept. I know we've talked about going green, and we're going to continue to do that. But I think at the period of time that we are in right now, for the foreseeable future until things change, instead of green, I think we're going to say clean before green. Okay, so in other words, while we want to use as many recyclable type things as possible, we understand that, making sure that it's clean, making sure that maybe an individual item is wrapped in plastic. So we normally wouldn't want to do that. We want to use something recyclable. But in this case, to make sure that everybody is, feels good about the food that we're eating and making sure that everything is clean. We're going to be going that. So you're not going to see as much recycling at this time. Hopefully when things change, you'll see that again. But in case you're wondering, that's a philosophy we're going to be using for the next few months.
Mike, before you go on just a second, we were at a local restaurant, sports bar last night. I was talking to the owner, and their mustard and ketchup, instead of trying to do PCs with the mustard and ketchup, they took sandwich bags and put on as an outside covering for the mustard and ketchup. And when that table's done with them, they pull that off and put another bag on them. Okay. So people have that regular ketchup and mustard in the bottles. You could do the same thing with any of the steak sauces or whatever. They were doing portion packs and salt and pepper, but the other stuff is not very effective. So they went with the sandwich bags just on the outside of the bottles of the mustard and ketchup. Throw it away, put a new one on it when it goes to the table.
Okay, thanks for the tip.
Uh-huh.
So other things that we've done here, we have ordered clear plate covers for food coming out of the kitchen. So as you know, we usually bring food out and we don't cover it. I mean, we're only going like 40 feet from the kitchen to the dining room. But the point is we'll put the covers on top. They're clear lids so we can see, you can see the food underneath it. But it's just one extra preventative. Staff all using handheld tablets. We'll be giving chits only on request. We're working with our point of sale system to be able to automatically email the chits out to people. Staff is going to be wearing masks and gloves. We won't have buffets for the foreseeable future. I just don't know how to do those efficiently and safely without, some extensive sneeze guards and things like that. We are going to get plexiglass partitions. I'm not sure we need to use plexiglass, I guess acrylic, for the golf shop counters and also for the receptionists. I'm not sure. I'm working on getting these. We just found a company that does them and I think creates some kind of a mass production. So we won't need to make them custom. We should be able to get them fairly quickly. And then, we have concerns about how to maintain and enforce healthy spaces for game night and happy hour. And that's something that, while this summer might not be a big deal because game night in the summertime is nothing, a few of the guys get together and they play poker, every Tuesday in the multi-purpose room. But in happy hours, we're not going to have much activity as far as happy hours goes on a Monday or a Friday. It's considerably fewer people. And I know there's been some email requests regarding having happy hours, but you get into the fall and we reopen game night and we try to reopen happy hour or continue happy hour. I mean, you get 250 people all in one room, and we have some really serious concerns about how to control that environment. And I know, we're tasked with controlling this stuff. We're tasked with enforcing it, but members aren't used to that kind of control. They're used to, hey, we want to come in and get back to normal and have fun and talk and drink and have a good time. These are things that, we're going to discuss these in the budget meeting, but I think that, I'm also going to be asking the board members, Mrs. Lockhart with the House Committee, talking about how to make these things work, because it's a real serious concern, and we want to make sure we get it right. And clearly, the last thing we want to have happen is to try all this and get things back to normal, and then all of a sudden have an outbreak somewhere, and then we have some real problems. So, we're trying to be as proactive as possible here. As far as other activities go, again, Mrs. Lockhart, I know I saw your email. I know you've been doing online, virtual card games. There's going to be less available space in the clubhouse for, bridge, canasta, mahjong. We're talking about half of the numbers we usually put into the Lakeview room. And frankly, because we don't have any storage, we are using the greens room for table storage, for any other storage, because we just don't have, we're maxed out on storage. So when we have to move tables out of different rooms to make sure that things are distanced properly, they're in the greens room. So the greens room is not going to be a usable room that I see much this year, unless we can find some other place for these tables, which we'll work on, but at least for the summertime. So Mark is working on guidance demos for game players, for all these virtual games, because I know a lot of people, regardless, are still not going to want to come up here and be in a room with 20 or 30 other people playing cards. Some people will; they will have no issue with it. So we understand that, and we're going to have the options for virtual gaming, and also there's going to be a limited amount of space for iLife, maybe 20 people in every iLife, and so the rest is going to have to be online. So Mark will work on tutorials and demos, video demos for those things, so that people who aren't as tech savvy can learn how to use Zoom or learn how to use whatever platforms we use for Bridge. Ultimately, food and beverage could be ready to reopen tomorrow. I would not have all of the the safety measures in place. I certainly have not gotten those partitions yet, but that could take a couple weeks. I'm not sure we want to wait that long. So we would be ready to open tomorrow. We talked about keeping the pro shop closed. Maybe we keep the pro shop closed until the partitions come in. Maybe we, I'm not sure exactly how to do it with regard to the receptionist yet, but once the clubhouse reopens, there's going to be a lot more.
We lost Jim Rock. We lost Jim Rock.
Where'd he go?
He just vanished. He's in the
He went to the cloud.
He's in the Ethernet. All of a sudden, he just boom. I had a flash, and all of a sudden, I noticed there was a guy, one person.
Maybe his power died on his device.
It could be.
Hey, Joy, can you call Mr. Rock, please? Thank you. Okay, should I continue?
He got bored.
Yeah, I was going to say you're talking too long.
Apparently so. I'm sorry. I'll try and make this a little faster. Of course, single rider golf continues.
You want to wait? You want to wait for him?
Sure.
Being president, I think he should probably listen to this.
Is it all right if we talk about one aspect of what Mike's already talked about? On the game nights and happy hours, you get all summer to kind of experiment a little bit. I'd be in favor of you thinking about reservations even for that kind of stuff. Even if people call a half hour ahead, you can plan on it and you can structure it a little better. Going to a reservation only kind of a occupation. And then maybe that's part of what happens in the fall as you get busier. People have to make reservations. So you can only take 100 or 50 or whatever the number is that you guys decide on, and first come, first serve. And then maybe you have to figure out, is there a second night we have to do game night?
2 nights instead of 1. Mm.
Yeah. I don't know where you find that extra night, but that's another
Actually,
problem.
on
Just
game
some
night, how can you social distance on game night if you're playing
I-
cards?
I mean, it's
Can I
literally
talk about that,
impossible.
please?
Go ahead.
I read an article maybe about 10 days ago about how dangerous playing cards is. It was specifically written about bridge, because any game, like you've got people playing poker, they're all sharing the same cards, and those
Yeah.
cards are being shuffled and passed and played. That was one of the issues, that not only are you facing each other around a card table, which is dangerous, you're also sharing these devices. Card playing is risky.
Well, and the other thing about it is when you're done with the deck of cards, I mean, you're not gonna sanitize the deck of cards, after everybody plays with them. It's just, I'm not exactly sure how to get around that.
I
That
don't-
even
That's why they did talk about as much virtual gaming as possible to
Yeah.
avoid that.
Yeah, I know they even play dominoes. Anything you're sharing, touching and sharing with somebody else, personally, I wouldn't, that's one of the, if you can do it and not ever touch your face, you're okay. But we all know in an hour playing cards, you're gonna touch your face.
Welcome back, Mr. Rock. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, they're digging in a pool behind us, and I lost my internet connection, so I'm on my phone.
Okay. Welcome back.
Is it possible, and you'd have to ask Eva because she's the tech guru, is it possible for Spring Run to have its own private virtual card playing platform? Like Spring Run Bridge, Spring Run whatever, I just wonder if that's possible instead of playing on a public platform.
I think it is. We made the last year and a half, 2 years, we took all the card games that were all over the place and we put them together under what we call the Players Club, and that was Mark in charge of the Players Club, and so he coordinated all these games, so it wasn't just disparate, and haphazard. So when new people came in, we could get them put into these games. We can't develop these platforms, but we can certainly find them and bring them to one page, and on our website, so that people can go to that website and they could kind of organize these games with some consistency on the platforms. Whether it's, I'm not sure there's one platform or software that you can use for all these different games, but probably, there could be 3 or 4. But we could all have those when you click on it for bridge or whatever doubles bridge or whatever.
Mahjong.
Mahjong, it would use the program that we have brought into the website for you all to use.
And the benefit would be that you're playing on a site, a platform that keeps strangers out. You're playing with strictly Spring Run people. It's not open to the world.
Right. No, that's a good point. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do as far as activities. Now we also had another email. I got an email the other day, and a member had said, can we help more with the bags? And Jeff and I have already been talking about this for a week or two, just watching some members try and carry bags, and it's a safety concern for me. Somebody hauling a bag and then falling or tripping. I have a concern about that. So we said we would start to help people more with bags, and we're trying our best with, gloves and things like that. But this is kind of a transition from, complete touchless, no contact to reopening the bag room. And so we're kind of in the middle. And so, you know, some people have expectations that we should be helping more, and some people have expectations that we shouldn't be. So we're kind of in the middle here, and I just am going to ask everybody to be patient. We're trying to get from point A to point C. We just have to go through B first. As far as the pool goes, the pool's going to be reopened again. We're talking 25 people in the pool area at any given time. Shane and Josephina volunteered essentially to make sure they take care of the pool every single day and going through. And in addition to the golf courses and spraying the bathrooms down, you know, making sure that the bathrooms in the pool and the chairs and everything else that are out there are kept clean. We're talking four tables to go back out there again with chairs around them, and then about half the pool furniture that we had out there before. We are, and everything is spaced apart properly. And in fitness, the fitness room is a concern. We're going to try something brand new here, and I just need to get this out for everyone to understand. We're talking about, you know, doing a reservation system, as crazy as it sounds. You know, we're thinking 5 people maximum at a time. Put a sign up on the fitness room door, and it says 5 people maximum. If there are 5 people in the room, please, you know, come back when there are not 5 people. But it'll tell you to go to the TV monitor in the office foyer. You know where that is. It's kind of next to the multi-purpose room and across from the receptionist desk. That TV is going to have a section on it that'll be like a real-time scheduling, you know, that you'll see the day and open times with 5 times under each hour. And so somebody who walks up there and says, oh, there's 5 people in the room, they walk over to the monitor and they see, oh, at 11 o'clock, there's a space. Maybe they go over to Susan, the receptionist, and say, please just type me in. And, you know, I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee or something. I'll be right back.
Can I add something to that too, Mike? I read a problem, I think it was at the Commons Gym, that people were staying on pieces of equipment too long. What's to stop somebody from reserving at 10:30, 11, 11:30? Can we somehow limit people? Your access to the room is limited to, whatever you deem appropriate, 1 hour per day. Some people would spend a lot of time.
No, that's true. You know, that's got to be signage in the room itself, and also when you go to make a reservation. I mean, this is going to take a while to get people used to this process and making reservations for things. Ideally, and we haven't completed it because we just been discussing this, but it shouldn't take very long. But basically, just like you make a Chelsea tea time, you'd be able to go to the website, click fitness room, takes you right to the site, and you just type your name in on one of the times, and it should say across the top, you know, maximum use 1 hour, and then we put that also in front of all the machines. And, you know, use of the room is 1 hour, use of the machine is 20 minutes max, that kind of thing.
And like 1 reservation per day per person. You can't reserve 2 or 3 slots.
I mean, you know, I don't know how many people are going to work out in the morning and then come back in the afternoon, but, you know, it's a possibility. I guess you'd have to see. And Mark's going to have to go through there and enforce. And Shane is, you know, there at 5 in the morning, and people are, you know, we've always got a couple people waiting at 5 in the morning to come in and use the facility. And I just have given Shane, you know, his marching orders to just say, look, you know, we're going to ask you to reserve today. Come on in, use it, but we need you to go online and reserve, you know, time every morning. And then, you know, it's for your safety, it's for health purposes, and that kind of thing. So that everyone understands that, you know, why we're doing this. We're not doing it just because, you know, we're doing it to keep everyone healthy.
Mike, you may have to shut off every other treadmill. And I don't think you should have a guy running, or 2 people.
Yeah, there's 3, and we would turn off the middle one.
Turn up the middle one. Yeah. Okay.
So then bocce ball, we're returning the bocce ball sets to the courts. We have a station set up, or will be a station set up with gym wipes. and spray bottles. So when the game is over, spray the balls down, put it back, reuse them. Tennis is basically the same as it has been. I guess the next question would be is what's our guest policy going to be? And that's another section of the agenda.
Vince?
I got a question. You're talking bocce ball. So multiple owners will be handling the same balls. Okay. Why is that okay, but yet we can't take the pins out on the golf course? If you're gonna do bocce ball, we should remove the styrofoam out of the pin and let them use the pins again. If you're touching a bocce ball. I hate the pins.
It's the point.
I'm a big proponent of taking them out. But if you're gonna touch bocce balls, multiple owners touching bocce balls, and as many people as play bocce, okay, we should allow them to pull the pins.
Okay, let me do some thinking on that one.
Yeah. You
Good
can't, I don't think
point.
you can do one or the other. One or the
Maybe
other.
bocce is something that shouldn't open.
Well, that's why I say we can't, I mean, if we're gonna open bocce ball for owners and things like that, then I think we should be able to remove the pins.
So there's no official bocce league play until, excuse me, January. It's all kind of open play and play as you desire this fall. So it may be we limit the bocce at that point in time.
Well, I mean, limit or not, if you start. doing
What I
bocce-
mean is not have the
Oh,
bocce.
not have bocce.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have necessarily for right now. Does anybody else have any questions?
I'd like to go back to the food and beverage discussion then. Right now we're talking the summertime, okay? And people have vacated. Obviously, all of you people have left, except for, you, Mike, and I don't. Bill, are you still here?
No, I'm in Pennsylvania.
You are. So it is thinning out quite a bit. Okay. So I think, I know there's been a lot of discussion about how to serve food and everything else. I think just opening up starting with happy hour for drinks, people would like to socialize again. Okay. And I know you saw the emails. I've seen the emails, Mike, and I've been asked a question about it. When are we going to be able to have that? I would say whether we're ready or not for food, and even if we are for food, my suggestion there is just use that 9501 menu and don't do anything beyond that kind of a menu. Make it simple. And I'm only talking summer now. I'm not talking come October, November, December. I'm talking summer now with the reduced number of people we have. And limit the number of people in there. And if we have to count and say, oh, you got, what's the limit on it, Mike?
Oh, well,
Indoor.
Well, are you talking about the 50%?
Yeah.
40, 30, it's like 100.
About 100.
Well, then we're fine.
Well, in the summertime, you're fine, but I mean.
I'm only talking summer. I'm only talking summer.
The fall,
only
I have
talking
no
summer.
idea out of control in the fall.
I'm only talking summer. Let's cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm only talking for the next, 3 months or say, all right? And
All right.
because right now there's an opportunity to make more money, to satisfy, you saw the emails, satisfy the membership. I mean, I don't know why we can't do one thing for now and we have to do something different, even if it means ending it, stopping it, or turning it off because of the crowd that comes in and then, if we haven't come up with a resolution.
And Vince, there's a message out there too that in reading the one particular email, we aren't trying to penalize the year-rounders because that the others, the seasonal people aren't here. It still is trying to protect the environment as a whole in that piece. So, and I'm not saying I'm not in favor of the happy hour. I'm just saying we need to make sure that the theme we put out there is about safety, not because we don't have as many people. Bob, you had a comment?
Yes, I agree with Vince. I don't see any reason why, if we're opening for dinners and lunches and we're providing for the appropriate spacing, there's no reason why you can't have the same amount of people in there for happy hour. The only difference is they might be there for a longer period of time in some cases. But I would be an advocate of opening for happy hour and But also, I've said it a couple of times now, I think reservations should be required for just about anything, including happy hour. It's not a big deal to pick up the phone or to go online, hopefully, and even if it's a half hour ahead. So you can all of a sudden hit the max and say, okay, no more.
Okay. Paula, just before I get to you, our club just sent out a memo to us that they started with, we opened the pool this weekend. You have to call for reservations for an hour and 45-minute slot. And like you mentioned earlier, Paula, you can only sign up one time for that for your family group going to the pool. They've now extended that to the restaurant area that you have to call in for reservations. Of course, they turn that quicker than what you do the pool in the summertime, but they're going strictly to reservations in the pool area, which is more like a resort pool. They're limiting that you can only, if you sign up for the 9 o'clock to 10:45, and then the next group, they clean everything, and the next group comes in at 11:15 and goes for an hour and 45 minutes. So reservations are the way to control those in any situations you're doing those. So now, Paula.
I'm thinking about happy hour in the grill room at where the bar is. My first question is, will bar seating be removed? No bar seating.
There won't be any bar
Okay.
seating.
Then I had another thought, and I just throw it out there. You were talking about plexiglass dividers, separators. Would it be worthwhile considering putting plexiglass all across the front of the bar? Just throwing it out there.
I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have signs that say, don't stand here. So we're gonna try and keep people from standing there. Yeah, I'm not sure it's gonna be.
I think my suggestion there is just the signs, social distancing. If we keep driving that home to people, I mean, for instance, I'll tell you right now, after golf, we were out here after golf yesterday, right? And we have a group of there was about 8 of us, all right? We went around one table, but we spread out, and we did. I was sitting in the lawn on a chair, okay? People, and it's that social distancing. They're well aware of it. They didn't have to have anybody be told. But if somebody wouldn't have, in fact, I should take that back. When we were approached, Jack Butler yelled out to 2 people that were just coming over and said, "You can grab a chair over there, but you got to social distance." And I think that same thing applies. Plexiglass inside happy hour and that, it's kind of defeats the purpose of what the people want to do. The people want to see each other and interact. And I'm thinking specifically, we've got the Whisper Creek crowd. There's the one who we've seen all the latest emails, right? They typically come in multiple times a week, and they're couples. So 2 can sit next to each other, but then the other of us have to spread out, okay? And we've got the outside.
Who is going to enforce it? Will it
Manager
be
on duty.
Josh and Brianna, and the same way
Manager
they
on duty.
enforce dress code? Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to throw that in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not real comfortable with having the staff, put themselves in that situation. It's just like the dress code, because some people can be rude.
Yep.
And I know that some of the staff gets intimidated. So it's something that, I would say is myself, Josh, Rachel, Brianna, whoever's on duty.
And I think we can also, if we announce we're going to do this, tell people we're going to try it, we're going to do it. But if we see people not abiding by it, we're going to shut it down.
Well, and I think the signage in the bar area that says no service or congregating at the bar. I mean, that's pretty simple. That way people don't lean up against it or whatever, but just if the sign says no service or congregating at the bar area, and you put it up, and then we make sure that it gets enforced in that piece. And I think that takes care of the bar area rather than the plexiglass.
And
Vince?
Mike, to that point, would we allow or disallow people coming to the bar, getting a drink, and then going back to their chair?
I haven't decided that one yet. I was thinking that there might be that one place where they can go, because the servers have to go up there and order too, and there could be another spot right there where if somebody wasn't able to get service from a server for whatever reason, again, we're gonna have to ask people to be very patient with us, while we do this. We're just trying new things. There might be one place at the bar. I'll talk to Josh and decide if there's gonna be one place at the bar where people could stand in a line, 6 feet behind them, someone else could stand, and get an order given a server's busy doing something else. I think you have to kind of give them that option.
I'll give you a suggestion there. I've been to the UPS store twice now recently, and to that point, they only allow 4 people in the building at a time. They've got basically a walkway marked off where you have to go, and they've got tape on the floor, just a piece of tape on the floor, 6 feet above that or whatever it is, another piece of tape on the floor, and they have to go to one register only. We could do the same thing with what you're talking about, would be to have, like, let's say your servers go to if you're facing the bar, the servers go to the left side, have a section on the right side with an aisle, put your posts in those tapes,
Stanchions.
whatever they use,
Right.
and mark the floor and have a sign there, social distancing, one at a time, and something like that. And that way we can get away from the bar thing. Do we have any of those posts with
Yeah.
those extensions that come out?
Stanchions, right? With the
Yeah, theater stanchions, and we've got some of those.
we
And
would
do that at the bar instead of plexiglass.
That's where we
Welcome, Judy.
Hi.
we have those. We're going to put those out. The other thing I want to mention is if we decide to open tomorrow, I'm going to want to make sure that today we get some notice out to everyone. And then I've got a list of important reminders that, rules, essentially, talking about not moving chairs, and also please be patient. Yes, sir.
I have to leave. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh,
Okay, Dennis.
all right.
And you'll be able to watch, this, Dennis, because she is recording it if you need any of the meeting that you're missing at this point.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Bye, and gals.
Bye-bye, Deb.
So we created a list of, I don't know, like 10 things, just bullet points, to remind people when they come in here, what they need to do and what they have to adhere to. And then at the end, I also said, just please be patient with everyone. We're working through all this stuff. So I'll get that out tonight as well. And then we'll determine tomorrow what the format will be. If we
Mike,
decide to open tomorrow.
Mike, I didn't attend the parking lot taco thing, which I heard was outstanding from everybody. How was do you know, how was the social distancing and everything at that? We had over 100 people.
Well, people hung, it was like tailgating that happened. And, they pulled up with their cars and they were in each parking space, and then they kind of opened the trunks and everyone got out and sat around. I wouldn't say that it was really particularly, adhered to. People were hanging around people they felt comfortable with, that they hang around with. So, everyone had a blast. I just don't think they were too cognizant of staying far.
So they didn't observe the 6-foot rule?
I wouldn't say so.
No.
But they again, they were hanging around the people they probably are hanging around with all the time anyway. I guess that's my take on it.
Hey, Mike, have we thought about T-shirts for all the food service workers that have the bullet points right on the T-shirts? Social distance.
It's not a
Suggestion. You've made some excellent videos showing golf cart sterilization, showing how to move your bags around. How about once you get those signs up and markers on the floor and whatever it is that happens inside the grill room and so on, how about you take a video and post it?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Just so people see ahead of time, hopefully,
But it won't be
what
ahead
they're
of time.
walking into.
It won't be ahead of time. If we open tomorrow, we're not going to be able to get that together and have it ready to go. So people will be coming in, and maybe next week, Monday or Tuesday, we'd have something like that.
Okay.
But I like the idea of the video. Mark,
It'll reassure those people who aren't there that you're actually really trying
Right.
to enforce conditions.
One thing I also want to mention, I forgot to mention, but we talked about it today. Oh yeah, Mark's here. Mark has volunteered to be the I was so surprised. We want to get a health and safety officer, inspector, basically. Somebody who is part of their job. They are looking at the different aspects of the amenities, what we do every day. Making sure that there's certain standards we're adhering to and checking these things. So, I tried to volunteer Mark today. I'm not sure how receptive he is to that, but we also put it as an open request to the rest of the staff if anybody else is interested in doing that job. That person would report to we have an employee safety committee, and they would liaison with them. That's it.
Bob?
On that point, Mike, I just want to, God bless you,
Thank you.
Jim. I just want to, I think it's a good idea to have a safety officer, but you got to make it clear that safety is everybody's business. And sometimes when you have a safety officer, everybody thinks, well, that's his job, but it should be everybody's job to pay attention to the health and safety of their fellow workers and the members. And I'm sure you've drilled that into people, but sometimes it gets iffy with a safety officer. Could I just be clear on, you keep saying if we open tomorrow, is the plan to open tomorrow?
Well, I mean, we are prepared to do it. Now, could we use another few days or so to get some things together? We could. Is it really going to make a big difference? Probably not. Like I said, I've got to get a few things ordered, but pretty much everything else is okay. If you let me keep the pro shop closed and locked for the first few days until next week, when I can get some type of, partition in, I would appreciate that. Because I know Kelsey in particular, Patty are, they're very concerned about, any transmission of anything. So I'd kind of like to have that protection. I also feel like I wish I had something for the receptionist in the front. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, given the fact there's really no way of locking that person off. The only other option would be to keep this half of the clubhouse closed, but that's not going to work out too well, I don't think. You can make that decision if you'd like, but you know how we can close off part of the clubhouse and keep, everything from the greens room, Lakeview room on back to the dining room open. So, there's that possibility as well too. If not, and we want to just unlock the clubhouse and have it reopened again starting tomorrow, we can do that.
You need a motion on that, or is it something you can do?
Yeah, I'd like that.
Another point, while you're talking plexiglass and protection, I'm not totally familiar with the term, but I picture Sherry at an open window. Is there a need for plexiglass there?
Yeah, probably. Yes.
Yeah, she's got the sliding window, but it's open when she's doing that service.
That's what I'm picturing, that she's quite you can reach her and almost touch her if you want to.
Yeah, but just for your information, she is standing back when she takes her orders and everything. But she
Is she wearing a mask, Vince?
She was wearing a mask, and she has
She
gloves.
usually does.
And gloves. Mask
Yeah.
and gloves, because she's handing people their
I'm
drinks.
I'm envisioning the local deli, which I go to occasionally here, and certainly there is plexiglass between the customer and the cashier / server.
Well, I just found out where this company is, and I didn't want to have to make things custom. So it looks like we can, measure and order and probably get things fairly quickly as needed. I think as long as she continues to wear protection as all the other service staff does, maybe I'll have the receptionist wear something as well too, until I can get some appropriate partitions in for her.
I don't see why it's that critical to open that half of the building where the receptionist and the pro shop, et cetera, is. It hasn't been open for a while. people are getting by somehow. Maybe if you have to, people have to talk to somebody there, make an appointment kind of thing, until you're ready. Because I think the safety of the employees is paramount, and unless there was a compelling reason to open the, food and beverage area, as we've been talking about. But I don't think you have to open the office areas, to me.
What about anyone who walks into the foyer and wants to use the fitness room though? Should I hold off for a week in the fitness room until I've got what I think I need?
Jim?
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Just so well, here would be my suggestion. I was going to make a motion that giving you the authority to open up the dining room or the food and beverage for whatever services that you are ready for and that you can, and also that you may, because evidently you want a motion, open up the other aspects only when you have the safety measures in place. So that would kind of we would give you the authority when the pro shop gets their plexiglasses. We don't have to have another meeting tell you to open it. You can open up that. You can do you can open up the receptionist when you have a plexiglass or when you feel safe. Other than that, you don't open them until you feel safe.
So your motion would be to open up the food and beverage clubhouse area, and the rest of it would be at his discretion as he has everything in place.
Well, and actually even the food and beverage would be, we'll give him authority to open it up, but it'll be at his discretion of what, to open up. If he can do a happy hour, then, please do happy hour. If he's not ready for happy hour Friday, I think it should be up to them to decide when they're ready to do it, rather than us telling them you have to do it right now.
I agree.
Second.
I agree.
I second.
Okay, Bob?
That's good.
Vince, yeah.
Okay.
Can you write that up? Can you write that up and make me sound like I know what I was talking about?
At best. You have to give me a second to edit this.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like what we're saying is we're basically giving the general manager the authority to open up the facility as he sees necessary, when he sees necessary.
Correct.
No, different.
When he sees it safe.
Safe to do so.
Yes.
Okay, Bill, does that sound okay to you?
Sounds fine. I like it.
Judy?
Okay.
Yep.
We're giving the general manager authority to open the facility as he deems it's safe to do so.
Open any part of the facility, okay, as you feel it's safe to do so.
Okay.
All right, now do we want any more discussion, or can we vote on that as Mike just read it? All those in favor signify by saying yay, raise your hand. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
All right. The next thing is guest policy. So at the moment, we have no guests that can use the amenities. My question to the board of directors is, when would you feel comfortable lifting that restriction? That would go for everything: pool, golf, tennis, fitness, clubhouse, any amenity. And just keep in mind, that when we're looking at other income streams for the summer for the golf course, which is, reciprocal programs. Copperleaf just opened up this past week to reciprocals and guests. So I just want you to have that context. Some clubs are waiting until July to do their reciprocals. Some are starting in June 1st. Some haven't decided. Some have already started. So it's kind of all over the place, but you have to relax the guest limitations first before you start to allow other people to come in from outside the facility.
okay, Jim?
I've been looking at the tee sheets. I got no problem relaxing the guest policy for golf, and possibly if your crew, kart crew, feels confident, even allowing reciprocals in the PGA Pass. My question is, and I don't know if you'll know this, with the pool open, how busy is it? I hate to allow guests there when a
Okay.
a member can't go there, but I'm assuming right now it's not that busy and we could allow guests even at the pool in places like that.
It's cleared out enough that it's not that busy right now.
All right, then I have no problem with allowing guests.
Effective when?
When you want it, Mike.
Yeah.
I just have to alter the signs out there.
How about Monday?
You can do it immediately or whenever.
When
How
are
about-
PGA Pass people allowed in?
That's up to you.
That we'll get to that after we get he's saying we need to open guests first in that, Paul. That's why we didn't wrap all those together in one topic.
Okay, I was thinking it should be done all together, but
You can.
clearly.
You can.
you
I just
We
don't
can
wanna
do it at the
allow-
same time, but yeah.
Okay,
I think we should let guests in first, to sort of put our toe in the water and at the same time, give a little something to people that are already here.
Because they're tied more into the owners, I think, in that piece, and the other is a revenue stream we're looking at. So if we make it, if somebody makes a motion that effective Monday, Memorial Day,
I'll make the motion.
okay, is there a second?
Is this for guests only?
This is guest only right now.
I'll second it.
Jim seconds. Any further discussion? Okay, the motion is that we'll allow guests into all the areas that Mike will have open, effective with Memorial Day. All those in favor signify by raise,
can we be specific? That's May 25th?
May 25th.
Okay.
Correct.
Remember, I'm an outsider here.
Oh, excuse me, May 25th, which is in the US is Memorial Day. Raise your right hand if you're in favor.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous, Michael.
And just as a side note, if we decide that we're going to keep this part of the club closed and locked over here, this won't be available. So that the guest thing that would be an amenity they couldn't get to until we opened this up. But everything else, pool, bocce, tennis, and golf would be, and the clubhouse would be accessible to guests.
I thought we were gonna think about bocce though.
Yeah,
think about bocce.
We'll time out on bocce. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
remove bocce from that until I can figure that one out.
all right, now we'll move on to the PGA Pass and the reciprocals. Vince, here's where we'll bring this one up.
Do you want me to
Bill?
talk about this or?
Well, I think we ought to try to open that up as quick as we can. So perhaps June 1st would be a good date. It gives 5 or 6 days to implement the guest policy and then put the PGA Pass and the reciprocal season in play.
Didn't Jeff say that he is just like flipping a switch that whenever we wanted to release the PGA and the reciprocal, so we really wouldn't have to wait till June 1 in
Well,
that piece?
Yeah, we wouldn't have to. It's just if you want to put a time to it, that's fine, or a date to it. But he's got a whole list of people lined up right now. And what we are going to be focused, unless you tell me not to. We are focused on recouping as much income as we possibly can. There's no other place for the PGA guys to play. Very few other places. So I see us using the whole afternoon portion for them as well too. Certainly not the morning for the membership, but there's going to be plenty of tee times available for those folks. And there's also clubs like Masari. They're going to do their aerification and summer work the first week in June, so we can get their people and the money, the income does start to add up.
Now, Mike, the complexity of, I'll get to you in a second, man. It's not the complexity of opening up the guest, opening up the food and beverage, and then PGA and reciprocals. Are you and your people going to be pulled in too many directions all at once if all those things open at the same time?
Don't worry about it. We're okay.
Okay, Vince?
Yeah, Mike, maybe not right today, but I don't know if Jeff is filling the 72 carts with owners every day, okay, in the first wave.
Right now, for the most part, but I would tend to think next week and the week after, no.
So my point is, if we're not filled up with that, okay, could he then, because I know he has some people that he's got to give them a lot of notice, okay, some of his groups. But they might be too big for us to give them 20 carts or something like that. But I would still maybe, if we can, start the PGA off the back if he doesn't have the carts available, and let him come in at 7. By the way, if we do this, can't we go back to 7 o'clock? And I know there's an issue with the walkers. There was an issue with walkers, but if we start playing golf, we got a gap. We got a time for walkers later on. Right now, we're letting the walkers go off the back 9 at 7:30.
Yeah.
And that's why he's not starting golfers on the front 9 at 7 o'clock.
You're probably not going to have that many walkers left.
I know.
I'm sure we can
I
do
know,
something.
I know.
I just want to. I personally, Jeff and I talk a lot about the tee sheet, and I'm telling you, it is kind of an art to what he does, and it's not a hard and fast science, but he can fill in all the gaps. I feel really confident that he can. He knows how to make it work, and when he gets some phone calls in for some PGA guys, he can put them out there. He also knows where he can put the walking guys out there and still get as much utilization of the golf course as possible. So, yes, I will definitely talk about the PGA guys going off in the back. I'll talk about 7 a.m.
Right.
And we'll make it all work.
Yeah, because I think, number one, that would also then get the carts back sooner, a half an hour sooner, right? The ones that started on the back. And then they could then let those go back out again and turn them around quicker. I was just thinking of, there's people that like to come in and allowing him the flexibility. If there's nobody that has signed up on Chelsea for that tee time, okay, all right, then he can go ahead and at least he can, I know he gauges it. He knows how to gauge how many he can handle, all right. I think the only issue we had with that member starting and being able to book in the morning, which he thought was killing his PGA pass play, that was really November and December, not summer.
Okay, so if we look at the tee sheets have been issued up through Sunday, is that correct?
No, I just looked at them just to Saturday. I could look at Friday and Saturday, and they're busy in the morning, and I think the last one, there's like 1 or 2 in the afternoon wave. On Saturday, there's actually holes in the morning, and there's 1 or 2 in the afternoon wave. So there are spots after that that could be filled.
I'm just trying to think when the rollover went from once the tee sheets are issued, give Jeff the latitude that he can fill in with those
Yes.
PGA and recips, because that we know where those gaps are now.
And
Yeah,
then
in
what
those
we can do-
pieces.
And my
The only
suggestion there, is to allow him, if he looks at the tee sheet, looking it out, right, it's not taken, all right, he can go ahead and start telling PGA Pass they can play and start them on the back 9. He can give them carts and let them go in the back 9. Let him figure it out.
So are you suggesting that he do that, which is even before guests are allowed?
That's what I was
You
going to
start
say.
Saturday? Is
If
that?
guests are on Monday, we could fill up, at least fill some times on the afternoon on Saturday and Sunday with some outside play, but I can't do it until guests are allowed. And so if you want to amend the previous one and say guests could come on starting on Friday, that gives us Saturday and Sunday to get some extra play out here. Or we just start everything on Monday. Or reciprocal start on, PGA could start sooner and reciprocal start June 1. Your choice.
It was Judy's amendment or Judy's motion, I think. So she probably
Yeah.
needs to change it.
Well, I'll move it up a few days if then we start the guests a little bit later. So we were going to do the guests on the 25th, which is a Monday. So if you want to move the guests to start on the 23rd for the weekend, and then does that work? And then
Yeah,
just-
and then open it up to PGA and the recips same time.
or on Monday, just give them just a couple of days to let the guests come through.
Well, guests will have first crack. What Mike's saying is this weekend, because it's a holiday weekend, we could make some money in the afternoon. So if we're going to open it up, I'm thinking you tell the guests first, but if
Okay.
the guests don't fill it, then
But it's predicated on trying to get that extra revenue for those outside people, and this is a holiday weekend. So
So what do you want,
if the guests still get their preference, go ahead, Judy.
so what do you want it modified to? Anybody on the
I would
23rd,
say-
which is Saturday?
I
Mike?
would say on Friday starting Friday, allowing guests. To use
Friday
the
tomorrow.
venue Tomorrow.
Okay,
And we can get that information out to the members now so that they know they could bring guests for this weekend.
Okay.
And then I would say that allowing some PGA Pass guys to fill up a Saturday and Sunday afternoon. I'll give Jeff that authority now. He can work that. I mean, these guys can't play anywhere else. There's a pent-up demand. We can make some money. Same thing Saturday and Sunday. And then we could say that the reciprocal season wouldn't start until June 1. And that gives us time to, contact other clubs and make sure we've got the information and it's all organized. That would be my recommendation.
that's
So
fine.
do we want to amend that at that point and include all that into one motion?
Sure.
Okay, Vince, did you have a comment?
My comment was going to be, we're talking PGA Pass, and I think everybody here is assuming carts. What about walking? Guests and PGA or whatever, walking.
I don't know.
What are we going to charge them for walking?
Well, we can come up with a fee. I mean, we'd come up with something,
I wouldn't offer it right now.
All right.
If they want to, if we say, oh, there's people that want to do it, we can come up with a price and charge them to do it.
Maybe Jeff can put some feeler out there and see who would be interested in walking 9 holes or something.
Okay.
Just to feel it out and see.
I don't think I'd ask them at this point because you get more revenue out of the carts. So I think let's leave it alone and let Jeff feel it out.
But my point-
I wouldn't do a survey, I guess, Vince.
No. Well, I'm not talking about surveying that. First of all, I think number one is 18 holes coming here. You're going to fill up the carts. The carts will fill up one. I don't think, and Jeff thinks Jeff would confirm this. We don't have any problem filling up our 72 carts at all. Okay, and that won't be an issue. I'm just saying is we've got also a gap in there in the morning, and right, we got this gap between the carts. Once the 72 carts are out there, we've got a gap that isn't being filled with walkers, and it could be an added revenue. And my point was just to see, would there be any interest? He doesn't have to go out and do a survey. Just when he's talking, see if there's any interest in outside play. I'm thinking we got this gap. I'm just thinking revenue. We got people that we got this whole afternoon and this morning of gap. So, whatever.
Well, again, that's a good way to get some revenue at the end, but I wouldn't want to bring it up too quickly in the front. And Mike, do we have a reduced ranger staff now? And can we put any of those carts in play? We've got another 8 carts floating around.
No, we got 4 of them out for
Batteries,
batteries.
there's problems with them. There's problems with about 8 of those carts right now.
Yeah,
So
we got 4 carts we can't use.
Okay. All right, Bob.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it anyway, just to make sure. The staff, the golf operations staff, is comfortable with outside play. Reciprocals, PGA Pass, guests, are they comfortable at this point now that we've had some play going on and they've seen what the protocols are and all that?
The outside attendant guys are. The guys who are your starters and rangers have already made it clear that the ones that were not comfortable with, any contact, Liam, those guys, they've all stepped back. They're laid off. They're not working for the season, so they're not going to even be here. I'll have to check with Dave Noga, who's the starter, to see how he feels about it. He's been wearing gloves and he's been good about, keeping his distance. I will do a little walkthrough tomorrow and ask everyone how they feel about all this. And if there's some serious concerns, I'll come back to you again. I doubt there will be. It hasn't been voiced yet.
So the amended motion would be to allow guests starting Friday, allowing PGA Pass starting Saturday, and reciprocals as of June 1.
Correct. Somebody who's going to make that motion? That matter?
It's gonna alter mine. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
And Jim
And
votes.
with
I
that
think
being
again.
amended, we need a second on that
second it.
amendment.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay, Jim seconds. Any further discussion on that? And Mike will get back to us. Yeah, Jim? All in favor?
Now, actually, my internet's,
Oh,
You're off. Okay.
I guess so.
All right.
Unanimous? Okay.
all right. All right, unanimous.
Okay.
Under other, Vince, Mike, where do we stand on that plexiglass for the carts? I think for a $200 investment per cart, that sure looks like a go factor for me. And it looks like it's an operational thing, but
Mike, why don't you, we discussed it at the MGA. Mike, why don't you bring them up to speed on what the golf people are talking about, the cart people?
Well, there's a couple things just besides the partitions we have to talk about.
Right.
You know, there's the issue of putting you sticking with 80 golf carts and sticking the partition in between the two and going to double riders again. And Jeff is working through all these numbers. We are also considering getting another 10 carts for next year. And whether or not we would, have the partitions or just use those total of 90 carts to proliferate play. And we haven't gotten to that point. We haven't made that decision. I think it's partially a numbers decision. It's also going to possibly be, an ordinance or a governor's decision. I don't know yet, but the ones that Mr. McDonald had talked about, it's sent to Judge Fisher, and then we looked at were, inexpensive, but also would have to be built and customized into our current golf carts. And so what we're looking at is, our lease is up this fall. We'd have to get a new fleet. And Jeff got a hold of Club Car, and apparently they are working on some sort of a partition to use that would be standard, for these golf carts that you can kind of snap in and snap out. The important thing to note is that, we have the GPS monitors, and, we'd have to cut and kind of customize these partitions on our own. Whereas Club Car just bought Visage. That's the GPS company. So they've now incorporated them into their business, and they'll design something that specifically fits right into our golf carts that takes that monitor into consideration. So now the problem is I don't know how much it's going to cost, but there's a number of different analysis that we have to perform before we make a decision as to what's the best way to go. But I would not recommend buying those things and trying fitting them into a new leased golf cart. I would say we'll do whatever the corporation Club Car has built to fit into their golf carts.
Vince?
The pictures and everything that we had from Scotty McDonald, they do not have a GPS system up in the top like that. And on their design, they have an aluminum bracket that's mounted on kind of like on the very face of the golf cart up above where our GPS is. And they have another one mounted at the rear, and that gives the stabilizer, that produces the stabilizer for the plexiglass. We have a problem because our GPS is dead center. There's no room above it to mount anything on there right now with the current one. And even if we had, there had to be some type of a pretty substantial modification to do that. Okay. And I think it's, while it's a great idea, mounting it and everything else, I would prefer if the golf cart company comes up with a suggestion and does it as well. Plus, we talked about yesterday in the meeting, in our MGA meeting, I don't foresee this thing lasting forever. Okay. I mean, I would say, I would believe that sometime next year, they're going to come up with something for people to feel comfortable with getting back to 2 people in a golf cart, getting a little closer on spreading, whether it's a a vaccine or something you can take or whatever. So, you know, we have to really consider, do we want to spend the money like Mike was talking about? You know, the current carts, which right now we're looking at $123 a month that includes the cart and the GPS system, which are two separate leases, okay? If we wanted to add something like Mike is talking about, I'm sure that's not going to be for free. And so you're talking about spending some money per cart per month for something that we may only use for 6 months or so. And yet we got to sign this lease for 4 years, even though we know we get it every 3 years. We've got to sign a lease. So I don't think we should rush into plexiglass right now. I think we should kind of go my suggestion would be, and the suggestion I got from the MGA board is that let's see what we can live with now, okay? But we do recommend that per Jeff and Mike's suggestion, to go ahead and give the authority to go from our current number of carts, which is 80 to 90 carts, 10 more carts. And that, according to Jeff, because of the savings in electricity and the added revenue that we can possibly have, being that we would have for a period of, let's say, all next season, okay, being able to have 10 more carts, okay, and the added flexibility, it's a payback. There's a payback in there, okay? So it's not going to be an added cost, net, when you take about electricity and everything else involved. So the MGA is suggesting that the board authorize to go from 80 carts. By the way, these are coming in late October. We get these carts in October. We got to tell them now if we want them. We got to get our word in, right, Mike?
Yes.
Yes. So we need to tell them right away if we are going to give them the authority to go to 90 carts, which is, that would, Mike, with the number, it's $123 a month. So it's 10 more carts. So it's
$13,000 extra a year.
Yeah, but there's an offset to it.
So the first year, we could probably bring in upwards of $50,000 with those extra carts. But then if we go back to double rider carts, you know, we're not going to need those. And so it would be good for like a pressure release that's from time to time, but we still would be stuck with the lease. So what Mr. Corso is saying is correct. It would net would be no increase. It would be, you know, you'd make the money this year, but you still would have to pay the lease for the next couple of years. Then we'd roll them over into the new lease or get rid of them, whatever the situation is. But we wouldn't be getting a net increase in revenues because of them. It would actually just be a good amenity for the membership. So when someone comes out to go play golf, they don't have to wait for a cart to get turned around. There'll be a cart sitting right there ready to go. So it's an amenity. There's going to be some expense here. I just want to make you all aware that we could make the money in the first year, but then the next couple of years we would just be paying the lease and minimal income after that. But it is an amenity, and it would be a good service for the members.
And having those extra 10 carts from the cart barn's point of view, because those of you who come out here know at times in season where you come out to get your clubs and your clubs are lined up inside because we don't have enough carts, okay? And we don't have enough to get, you know, so those extra 10 carts would be a little bit of a relief for the guys at the cart barn.
So it's basically a cost savings the first year, and it's amenity driven the balance 3 years of that contract.
Well, it's amenity, but it's paid for by the first year. It's paid for by the synergy savings and that. The question would be, in 3 years, do you drop back to 80 or do you stay at the 90?
Okay, Bob?
So Mike, you said it's a 13,000 additional cost per year. So that's $39,000 additional cost over the 3 years. Are you saving?
You have to consider 4, even though we roll it over in the first.
Okay. So that gets to be $52,000 over 4 years. Are you saving $52,000 in the first year?
We're increasing revenues by $54,000 to $56,000 in the first year.
So it's a wash.
And the utility savings.
We're on single rider golf. This gives us an opportunity to put more golf carts out there.
Okay. But you may not be.
And there's a utility savings over the full period of time because these carts are lithium batteries. That was what, 15 grand or something? There was a number that Jeff threw out for the utility savings.
Yeah, but
He said about 20 to 25% savings in electricity.
you're going to have that anyway, though. I mean, so that's not part of the cost justification, because if you go to the new carts at the lower level number of carts, you're going to save on the electricity. So it's
Yes,
not really
yes.
part of the analysis.
No, but we're saving, you're right, what we're saying is what he's.
I know what you're saying.
All right.
So I'm not opposed to this, but just realize that you may be going to double rider carts sometime next year, so you wouldn't realize that full 50,000 of savings by having the additional carts. You'd have the addition. I don't mean savings. I mean additional revenue. You'd have that with the double rider carts at some point. You're assuming 56,000 or so of additional revenue if you stayed on single rider carts the whole year. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, all right. So I understand all that. It would be nice to see the numbers written down when we're voting on something like this. But I understand, what you're saying and where this additional revenues are, and it probably makes sense overall as an amenity for the 4 years in my mind. But I would like to see numbers written down when we're doing these kind of.
Maybe we can have that before next Thursday's meeting, Mike.
I do have some quotes. So I don't have quotes on the partitions yet, though. That's a wild card.
No, but I mean a cost benefit analysis type of thing.
We will. This wasn't for you to vote on at this meeting. This is, well, actually what I'm saying is I want to put this in your ear. I want you to be thinking about this. We are going to commit to a new fleet of golf carts this summer. We have to, so the question is it going to be 80 or 90? And the question of 90 is not as big of an issue. It's just we know when we tell them we want at least 80 and possibly 90, they could be thinking that way. We're going to talk about this during the budget process. So when we sit there with the finance committee, we're going to be kicking these numbers around, different scenarios, and then we'll bring that eventually to the board, or at least to the board during the budget approval process in August. So we'll get through all this. I'm not telling you at all to vote on this now. Just
All right. Jim, did you have it?
Mike just said everything I was going to say.
Oh, okay. All right.
I agree. We should wait. Let's not make a decision now when we don't have to.
Okay. And maybe we can have some of those cost equivalents that Bob had asked for to look at, regardless of what the lease pieces are going to come out there. They've got some kind of projections that they put down on paper. Okay. Anything else? Bob? You're next, Paula.
What it will be the decision making, what's the protocol? I don't know how to ask this question. An employee gets COVID-19 or a member does. Do you have a protocol set up? Are you going to shut down? Are you going to, what are we going to do? Do you need to work on that now that we're reopening? Do we have a protocol for, what could change things?
Well, the protocol was before, when we started shutting things down, and we said we still had golf going, but there were no carts. And we said, if we get a case in here, we're just going to shut everything else down. I haven't really thought much beyond that. Somebody asked that yesterday when we were talking, and I said, well, I would just guess we just shut everything down until we had a chance to figure out what the situation is. Like, there is a member of the club who, most people would know, who I guess hadn't been feeling good in March, could not get a test, self-quarantined, didn't tell anybody, finally got an antibody test and it came back negative. So this is the first person the only other person I know of, because I knew of the only other two cases, a member who had gone to the hospital for a heart issue and they gave him a test, his came back negative, and of course the outside attendant who had the issue and his came back negative. So these are the only three that I'm aware of. I think until you have a test done on someone, you have to shut things down and just get a handle on everything again, keeping people apart from each other until we know who that person had talked to. The biggest scare with the outside attendant was how many members he interacted with, prior to feeling bad and having to go home, from work. So I think you always have these situations where there's interactions and then someone doesn't feel good and then maybe they have the virus, maybe they don't. And I would recommend still shutting things down until we have a handle on it.
Yeah, you'd have to shut down for what, 14 days? I would think in that.
Probably, but I think what more importantly, I think you don't have to shut down for 14 days. If someone can get a test and get it immediately or within a day or two, and they say, okay, it's negative, okay, we'll reopen again. But if it comes back positive, then yeah, I think you shut down for a week or 2 weeks and say, anybody who may have come in contact with this person. This happened over at Pelican Sound, just so you know. This happened last week at Pelican Sound. They shut some things down, but they said they gave the guy's name because he said it was okay. He said it's fine to tell everyone who my name is. And he said, if you had any contact with this gentleman, to let us know, but he had not been around a whole lot prior to that. So there wasn't a big concern. But somebody who's out there with the members and talking and having a good time, all of a sudden doesn't feel very good and tells us, I think it's our duty to shut things down until we can figure out if he's positive and who he spoke to and who he is interacting with.
Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We got to shut things down right away, but I don't know if it's an automatic 14 days. Like Mike said, it depends on who the person is, how much contact they had, how much, it could be somebody who was very isolated, and you can do the research and find out it was a member that only, I don't know. There's so many situations, but I do agree. You have to sit down right away until you can assess, the chance of a spread. Of course, if it's somebody who's interacted with, if it's one of the waitresses or waiters, that's gonna be a complete shutdown. I mean, if it's some cook that nobody ever came with, I think, then maybe we'll have to try to get tests of everybody and see what happens from there. But it's going to be a fluid situation. You got to wait and see what happens. But the immediate response, like Mike said, I agree. The immediate response got to be shut down until we can figure it out from there.
Okay, Paula, I skipped over you when I said you were on deck. Sorry, kiddo. What's up?
Oh, answer your phone. I'm thinking about the entryway project. Have contracts been signed? Has a start date been set? Certainly in the past week, we've had 2 or 3 long emails about members' concerns about the entryway and going ahead with it. I guess I just want to know, where do we stand? What's happening now? And it's too bad that all of this pandemic stuff broke in the middle of this or ahead of this project. What's happening?
Okay, I don't have contracts. I'd hoped to have them by the end of this week. That would have been tomorrow. I could get them tomorrow. I don't know. The LDO is still out there with the Stero, but everything has been submitted. So all we're waiting for is just their approval and also the building permit approval, and that takes less than a week. So you're talking, any time now. I mean, next week at the latest to get those numbers, to get those permits, and then I would send those contracts to the board of directors and we could talk them through, maybe have another Zoom meeting to discuss it. And then when you feel comfortable with it, you want to vote on it, or we talk about it next Thursday's board meeting. That's probably that's the best time to do it. Then you can decide what you want to do. And then if you say yes, so what portion of it you want to do or the whole thing, and then I'll sign the contracts accordingly and submit those.
Right, that's what we've talked about. We've talked
Yeah.
about this the last several meetings. I think that next week was the meeting that we're going to go through it all.
Okay.
Right. Vance?
I wanted to go back. I was asked a question about this, going back to this decision on what to do. I would hope that if something happens and we hear something happens, we have one of these emergency Zoom meetings to discuss it, to discuss what's going on, what the situation is, who it is, and rather than just automatically, oh, we heard about it, shut it down and everything. I think we would have a board discussion on this, just because we, as everybody just said, we don't know what it could be. It could be someone it could be somebody in the maintenance area, in the golf course maintenance area, which rarely, if ever, come in contact. I mean, I don't think we should just automatically shut down immediately upon hearing something without finding out what are we hearing about and how severe is it?
I think it's a good point, and I think, Judy, I'll get you just a second. We have to be prepared to shut down if, in fact, it warrants it after we've done the research and trackability. Judy?
As a point of information, Mike, is it easier now to get a test there than when we waited weeks for results of that first person?
I think it is. You know, they have drive-through testing places. You can just pull through. Yeah.
I know of one of our members' son, who is his son, and he's living with them. Okay, he just went right out, and he was concerned about something, and he went out and got a test done right away. Right.
Did he get
you
results?
have to call a doctor. You have to call a doctor.
You got to call a doctor, but do you get results quicker than in the past?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen.
And that also depends on where you get the test done. Some of them have the test, which is rather fast, rather quick. Okay, but we don't have the 14-day issue at all anymore. That was in the beginning.
Okay. Paula?
Okay, I checked the numbers on a couple of websites. Most recently, and you can confirm or not with what you're reading, I'm reading that the number of cases of COVID-19 in Florida are actually increasing, is increasing. Is that what you're reading?
Well, that's what I'm hearing on the news, but they're also qualifying that by saying they're doing more testing, so they would anticipate that there's going to be more evidence of positive to the COVID-19 because of the higher degree of testing that they're doing. I don't know what that means, Paula, but that's...
Yeah, well, I'm just saying what I'm reading, putting it in context.
Bob?
Okay, and I raised the issue of, what happens if somebody gets the disease, an employee gets the disease or a member. And I think I agree with what everybody's been saying, except that, if Mike and the staff have already thought things through, we know if it's a maintenance guy, the chances are we're not going to shut down. If it's a food and beverage front of house person, probably we do shut things down. If they have some guidance ahead of time in their own mind, I don't think we need to vote on it, but just so they kind of know what they're going to do without waiting to have an emergency board meeting to discuss it with us on whether to shut down. So I think the discussion we've already had, unless Mike, you tell me differently, you probably have enough information in order to make the decisions right away that need to be made. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we had said before that it would be on a case-by-case basis. I mean, when you hear about these things, you have to do some inquiries. I had to pick up the phone and call somebody. We had a discussion, and I found out what the situation was, and it was a non-issue. So, those things, you do a couple steps of investigation first. Right. But just like I would normally do, I would send the board an email saying, here's the situation, and instead of sending an email, I guess I could just tell Eva, send out a Zoom request, and we'll sit and talk about it. But I generally wouldn't do something like that unless I've at least sent you the email or the meeting and let you be aware of it, because then you guys get blindsided if you don't know what's going on. We make a change and then somebody asks you what's going on and you don't know. That's I don't operate like that. So I would definitely let everyone know before we made a change like that.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Paula, for clarification, the number of active COVID cases in Florida right now is 46,500. That's been down from a peak. Okay, there are more, but the number that you're talking about, they're running a cumulative number. Okay, of how many have been. Right now, there's been cumulative quite a few cases, but active right now there's 46,000. Okay, the fatalities has been flat. It's 21,000, 2,100 fatalities. 2,100, and that's been flat now for weeks. In fact, the governor was just on, and he kind of got sideways with some of the people that were questioning him about what's going on here. So you're right, there are cumulative cases. There's still people that are being tested. and they're getting cumulative cases.
Right.
Okay, Bob?
And you got to be careful about the overall numbers that you talk about too, because like in Massachusetts, they've had 6,060 deaths in the state as of yesterday, and 2/3 of them were from long-term care facilities over 80, and most of them had pre-existing conditions. You know, there's a lot of different things that go into this. If you look at healthy working age people in Massachusetts that died from the disease, it's very small. And it's probably the same in most states.
And certainly the long-term care facility numbers really skew it
They
high.
skew everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not that it's not important, but it
Yeah.
skews things.
This, you know, I can't show, there's a chart out there right now that will show you. I can't share because we don't have sharing turned on, but it right now, actually, the number of cases is below what the rate of new cases has been.
Okay. Anything else before we adjourn for the week? Jim?
Do we have to do anything with the minutes from the last meeting? Did we forgot one
You know
time
what,
and,
can
or,
we do, yeah, Mr. Owens had asked me to that. I need to send those out to you from, we could do this past minute, but then we also have ones from the very start here when we had the first 2 emergency board meetings. We have to get those approved too, but we'll do that at the next meeting.
okay,
You can
So-
approve, if you want to approve this past meeting's minutes. I just haven't sent you the other ones yet.
I got no problem. We can wait. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to keep things.
So we'll clean that up on the minute approvals at our meeting next week. We'll have all those in hand where we can review them and then
And this one. too.
pass all those
Yes.
individually.
Yes.
Okay. Judy?
Yeah. Mike, do you just have a second when they get off? I just want to get a recap on the fitness center
Sure.
that I missed. Thanks.
3 o'clock next Thursday, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
3 o'clock.
Mike,
That's our
Mike,
regular
are-
board. We've been doing this at 2 o'clock, but our regular board meeting is scheduled for
At
3.
3.
Right.
Vince?
Mike, are you then going to send something out tonight to the membership on the food and beverage?
Yeah. A recap of this, just summary of this, and then the rules that I want to keep in mind. But I need to go talk to Josh right now.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
Thank you.
See you, everybody.
Okay.
See you next week.
stay well.
Bye-bye.